Hi, and welcome to a very different, very experimental video about is software development doomed because of AI? I have made this video because I'm being asked this question again and again from you guys in the YouTube channels, from other people. I've been discussing it for a year and so on. So I want to try and tackle this. And if you just want the short version, my answer or my opinion is no. For the people with the right mindset, we'll get into what the right mindset is. But if you want the long version, let the ramblings begin. Because how in the world do you answer this question? I wanted to make this video for some time, but I've been struggling to find a good format of it. So I'm landed on some kind of question and answer session where I just convey the same things as I've discussed with others over the last year. So I hope in some part this will explain my opinion on the matter. So just before we begin, if you don't know who you're talking to and why I'm here, I'm a 46-year developer, single, living in Denmark, high income country. And for the last 23 years, I have been working in the software industry as a C# developer. The last 3.5 years, I've been semi-retired after having my luck in the world, being part owner of a software company where I sold my shares. So I'm not really worried about this if we're doomed or not as an industry. But even if I didn't have this background with what I know about AI, my answer would still be no. So it's not the semi-retired version of me answering this question. It is the person who have worked with AI for 1.5 years now and really understanding what it's all about. But not about me. So you can have this question. Are we doomed because of AI? And my answer to that would be that if you need to ask that question, you are at risk, because that means you have not yet fully understood what AI is and how much guidance it needs to be great. Because the best way you can learn AI is to actually try and code it. That's the reason why I have my YouTube channel where we teach about Microsoft Agent Framework and how to work with it, because that has really made me understand that AI is just a tool, just like any other tools we have. Visual Studio is a tool, Resharper is a tool. We can have all kinds of tools, and so are we doomed because of AI? Could just have easily been, let's say we all wrote our code in Notepad and Visual Studio came along. Yes, if we didn't go to Visual Studio and had much better tools, yes, we would be doomed if we just stayed in Notepad. And AI is just an evolution of our tools. It's a big evolution compared to some of the other smaller things that we have. You can call it a revolution, but end of day, it's just a tool. So if you need to ask this question, you need to learn AI first, because then you can answer the question on your own. You don't need me to do it. So that would be my primary message in all this. But let's see some current takes on agentic development from different people I have heard about, met along the way, and how much that affects your doom level. Because if you are the person who says, I don't want AI to write my code, well, you can try that. But unless you are in a very backward company, then someone who want to use AI will probably over time take your job, because you are slower at the same work. Just as if we said you are the one writing code in Notepad and I have Visual Studio. Now you're the one having Visual Studio, and I'm the one having an AI. Same matter. So unless you want to, it's not AI that will take your job. It's another person with AI skills that would take your job. Another sentence you can say is, I can write better code than the AI. And I would just say, you're probably 100% correct. But unless you're writing mission critical code like sending humans to the moon, medical systems, and so on, where everything needs to be perfect, the customers and companies out there, they don't want your better code. They want good enough code. They want code that can bring them value fast. I'm not talking about sloppy code, because AI can certainly write good code, but you can write code better. You can sit for weeks, months, and tweak code and make it better. And for years, people with these perfection tendencies. I'm one of them, but I still had the business value when I wrote code. Or when I'm still writing code, but it's like 85% of it is now written by AI. But I want to deliver value. And there was these people, because they were the only one who could write that code, they had the governance over how long time code took to be written, and they sat with their patterns and different ways of saying code needs to be like this, test-driven development, whatever we found out, because we were essentially bored by the code and we wanted to find something fun about the code, and we ended up finding all kinds of things instead of just bringing value, because that's what customers and companies want. End of the day, AI can bring that value, so they don't really care about you can writing the code better if the AI can bring good enough value. Then you can say AI can't write good enough code. Well, then you have clearly not investigated the topic lately. If you said a year ago looked at code agents and say, yeah, they couldn't write code, you need to look again, because the evolution of AI right now is measured almost down into weeks now, not months or years. So if you haven't checked in the last month or so, you need to check again, because they can write really, really good code with the right guidance. Then you can say, I'm too old to learn AI. Sort of like me, sort of people I know that are also at my age, be getting closer to retirement. It might be too late to learn new tricks. Well, you can probably ride out AI if you're close to retirement, especially if you work in big corporate enterprises. Because just because AI is, in my book, ready to write more or less all our code, the companies are not ready to go that part. I have one slide about that as well. But it takes longer to roll out this thing. In the startups, it's already happening. In the bigger companies, it take longer, and in the big corporate enterprises, it will take probably years. And it's not because of the AI not being good enough. It's because them are too big of a tanker ship that needs to turn around. So you could probably hide it out. You could still write some code. There could be some niche areas that AI is not really optimized for. I would still jump into the AI bandwagon personally, because I find it fun. But if you are of this opinion, you probably could skip AI. Then, if you have the sentence of, I will begin to use it soon, or when my manager requires it. And my only approach to that is, you're already behind. Get going. Again, this is measured in weeks or months, not in years. And if you just sit and wait, then you're just even more behind. So get going. Then I'm already using ChatGPT to ask for code snippets and resolve errors. So I'm already using AI. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, but what we see here is, I will more say like a Google 2.0 or Stack Overflow 2.0, and a different way of getting the same things as you normally Googled or went to Stack Overflow to get. And it is better, but that's not nearly enough. It will not save you from the doom if you're not actually going in and using real coding agents to actually let them write the code for you as well. Because this is just a lookup it's just a search way of doing things. It's not the real benefit of agentic coding. Then there is the scenario where you are not allowed to use AI or good AI. You might be stuck on some custom thing they built a year ago that is running behind the scenes at ChatGPT 3.5 or something like that. Or you've just been given GitHub Copilot, which is in my book a very poor tool compared to things like Claude Code and Codex. But if you are in this kind of situation where you are not allowed to even use any AI or some very old stuff, then you seriously need to evaluate if that company is right for you, because right now it's hurting your career. If you like the company, you could try and ask to be in a pilot program, pioneer, first mover, whatever you would call it, to the people who have that decision making, and start to use AI. Hey, couldn't I be the one who tried out Codex, for example, and see if it's actually better than Copilot, or could we try to use it in this internal product so it doesn't hurt the product we do, but still we should at least begin to work with it. And if the answer to that is no, again, seriously evaluate if that company is the right for you. Then there's the students out there and the new developers out there. And they wonder right now if they have chosen the wrong career, if there's a future, if it's even worth completing their study, and so on. So if you just finished your studies and you are out in your first job, should you use AI? Yes, you should absolutely embrace AI. But it's very important that you actually go down, and after the fact it's written the code, that you go down and understand it in full detail. And you can even ask AI to help you understand it. Why did it do it like this? Because at some point, there's a future where we stop looking at the code. It's slowly happening, but we're not really right there now. And since you are new in this business, you need to still learn how to ask the right questions to an AI tool. Because if you can just ask a question, but you don't understand why you're asking the question, you don't know if it's the right question, if there is ways of doing things in certain ways that you don't know about, then you should still learn. You should still become good at code. Just because you don't write it, you still need to understand it. So definitely embrace, but spend some extra time on top of that, going down and really understand why it did the way it does. And then there's the students that are right now studying or about to start the study. And to them, it's a really hard time to understand right now what should happen. I would say focus the study time on learning how to learn. That has always been my mentality, but it's even more important now. and less on the skills itself. If you already know how to learn, you probably don't need this video and you should probably already drop out. But if you're unsure, stay in the study, but focus on the process of the actual development process, the why of why we do things, and not as much on the tech, because the tech, the AI will take care of. You need to instead have the mindset of a developer, a manager, as we'll see in 1 second as well. Because the greatest skill as a future software developer today is your management skills. And that doesn't matter if you're far up in the hierarchy of the company or way down in the company you work for. You will need to become a manager. And it's not for people, it's for AI coding agents. And the skills that are important to do that is communication skills, the most. Because it's not only communication with others, it's also communication with AI. Because that's essentially prompting. So you need to practice your skills of conveying what needs to be done. You need to be able to be good at reading the customer's needs and turning it into things, because there won't be room for having someone that just do that work, because it's not needed, because then the coding agent will take care of it. As long as it can be told in a good way what it should do, it will produce the code. And then you, of course, need to read that code and need to review it. And the review can, in the beginning here, be looking at the code, and later on it will be reviewing if the feature works as intended, because at some point we will stop looking at the code, is my opinion at least. So it's more the high level technical knowledge. It's the understanding a customer and turning it into the right prompt, which will be the important skills. We don't really need the expert knowledge anymore. AI will take care of that one. So, to sum this up, you are not doomed if you're willing to become a different kind of developer. A developer who's more a manager, a product owner, whatever we call it, that writes less code or no code at all. That will happen at some point. But that is depending on your definition of writing code. I'm using AI coding agents to write my code. I'm putting that in quotation marks because I still feel it. I'm writing the code. I'm just having a tool that press the keys for me and do the things. Just like I don't feel that I didn't write the code because I had a Control-Shift-B to build the code. I didn't turn it into zeros and ones. I had a high-level language, and now my high-level language is English. So that's the different developer. I still see it as a developer. I still see it as writing code. It's just a different abstraction level. And if you're not willing to go that way, if you're the one who wants to come to the office, sit down, sit in front of Visual Studio and type in keywords, variables, methods, and so on for an entire day, I think you're doomed. But if you want to become this higher level meta programmer, then you have a good future in front of you, because AI still need this guidance for a long time coming. Because if we didn't, then you could ask, but if I don't need to code, can't everybody do it? Can't the customer do it themselves? Can't my manager do it? Can't the CEO do it? And my answer to that is no. because the reason why we are developers is because we have a very special brain. Not special, but a different kind of skill set. A salesperson has this outgoing, convincing style. A business analyst is a different style, and so on. Developers, we have analytic and creative mindsets, at least the good developers. And that is still a rare skill. We have this get shit done mentality. We have this persistence of making it work, because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be developers. We wouldn't sit there for hours on end trying to fix a bug. And I've seen former business people try to write code, and most of them simply give up at the sign of trouble, at the sign of just the smallest annoyance. And the proof is, if these people, these business people, all these people that are hype on LinkedIn actually build all the things they were talking about, there would be tons of apps out there written by business people. But it doesn't happen. The apps are not there. They simply give up because they don't have the core mindset of a developer. And that is still needed because of the guidance we need to give. And even if the guidance could be given by others, there's still all kinds of other things. Will we at some point be in a Star Trek moment where everyone can just say, computer, do this? Perhaps, but that's quite a far thing away right now in my mindset. So having the good developer mindset is still needed for any agentic code now and in quite a while. So that's my opinion, and that's everything I had in this video. It became some kind of rambling. It became some kind of experimental in trying to convey this, but it's the best way I can explain this. So hope it will still give some value to someone. And if nothing, then sorry for taking your time. But if it gave you value, sound off in the comments, and see you in the next one.